genetics, and thank you. It's been a good night. Just joking, everybody. Just joking. Just the way our technology goes. So far, it's holding. So we're gonna try and get this through. We're trying to set up some video that y'all can see. So we're gonna tonight. I'm gonna show you a couple of real man stoppers, and we're gonna look at this. Prey drive bite, defense drive bite. It's all genetics. It's all training. We're gonna try and show you a couple of examples that will. Oh, there's Mr. Sinclair.
Fixed it.
Hey, he fixed it. So,
Hey everybody, how y'all doing?
time to tell them about what we're fixing up. We got one more little tech gadget to fix up, so we'll go into some of the explanations. Like, we're gonna try to delve into these drives. Like I said, the prey drive, defense drive, and everybody sitting here watching this, if you've been to more than one training session with a dog, you've heard 57 other different drives referenced. So we're going to go back to the scientific. I'm not going to give you my theory on drive or my opinion on drive. We're going to go to the scientific definition, and then we're going to address these to help clear it even further for everybody. A drive is an involuntary, can't be thought about, involuntary physical response to a specific stimulus. So anything that moves quick triggers a little spot of adrenaline into a dog to kick in his prey drive. Anything that jumps up real quick triggers a little bit of neocortisol to trigger defense drive in a dog. And he's in defense. We're going to go over that with our trivia question. By the way, body stance is same with prey drive. They got a specific body stance they take. So what about some of these other drives, like toy drive? What do you think about toy drive, Scott?
Toy drive. So what you're saying is the drive's an involuntary.
Mm-hmm. Can't
Right.
help it.
So to me, toy drive there's no such thing as a toy drive. It's a toy behavior.
Behavior's good. I like that.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
Because, for an example, if you train your dog and he loves a certain tug, and he always gets that tug, he's going to get after it, right? When you throw a ball, he's going to go, and then do that ball. It's a toy, right?
Yeah.
But you're teaching you're teaching that dog. If it was an involuntary behavior, it wouldn't matter what you did. The dog would go after something that moves fast.
Right.
So that's a taught behavior, and it also can be bred into dogs also.
Yeah. Yeah. We can, and the reason it can be bred, like, that healers automatically nip at heels, right? We know that. Herding dogs, we already hear people talk about, oh, well, it's a herder, so if it bites the kid's heels, that's just what it's supposed to do. As you heard me say, quote from the impressive and always outstanding Mr. Tony McCallum out of Australia, dogs are born knowing everything we want them to do. We just teach them when and where we want them to do it, okay? So how can they hit the ground knowing their job? It's because, and I forget the exact numbers, but they have like 2 or 3 times more chromosomes than we do. I'm not talking about genes and genetics, I'm talking about chromosomes.
X, Y.
Yeah, yeah. And these chromosomes not only determine the gender, they also carry information that we call instinctual. Okay, so with so many more chromosomes, they can have more instinctual behavior and or knowledge, whatever you want to call it, about their job than a human would.
Mm-hmm.
So when they are bred,
That's the key word.
what does that word?
Bred. Because chromosomes to chromosomes, you can mix chromosomes to get a higher reaction of what you want out of a dog. Henceforth, Jack Russell Terriers, those Roman war dogs, they were bred in a certain way genetically.
Right.
They had nothing to do with the prey drive.
No.
The chromosomes and the behaviors and it all turned into, that's what fixes their behaviors.
He just had an epiphany. Yep.
It's in the genes, and the damn right it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But the drive doesn't change.
No, drives are the same.
Yes.
Very good. You heard it here first, folks. We can teach behaviors, and when dogs get excited, they get more and more hormones kicking in, driving the energy that they respond in this drive with But what gets them excited? Hey, here's your tug.
Yeah.
You know, you ever hear, Aunt Fifi talk about, oh, every time I get out the leash, little bitty Fluffy just goes to the door and gets so excited.
You do that real well.
So thank you. So is that walking drive, or is it door drive, or is it leash drive? None. It's a behavior, and because they're such associative learners, once they associate something with something they like, they don't forget it, and it excites them.
Absolutely. I was I've been looking at, what I do.
Oh yeah.
And
studies everything.
You see, I came across some stuff that said the top 10 dogs with the highest prey drive. And I saw it said the top 10 dogs with the lowest prey drive. And another list said it's the top 10 dogs with no prey drive. So I was like, holy smokes, there's a lot to learn here, ain't there?
Yeah, you think. Yeah.
So anyway, there's a lot of theories, but the truth of the matter is, in the genetics, it's basic instinct.
Right.
Prey drive has been, like you said, the wolves, it was just from the beginning of time, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's always there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like with humans, the door thing with the gorillas and everything else.
Right. Right.
So.
And let's fine line this even more. The difference between an instinct and a drive. For those of you who haven't thought that deep, what is it? What is the difference? Drives are not an instinct. Instincts, there's something dogs do for survival, but they're not involuntary. A sheepdog may have an inclination to run around some herd or bite some kid's heel, but he can also look at it and go, nah, this T-bone's better.
Yes.
So that's a behavior that they learn that they automatically know how to do because of their instincts. Instincts are not involuntary.
So, for layman's terms, that little voice in your head.
Yeah, oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, yeah,
No,
that's.
I'm not saying dogs have a conscience, but they do. I'm just saying we're not going. We're not going over there.
Right.
But it's just that they just know it's instinct.
Right. And,
Trigger.
Right. And an instinct can be ignored.
And do you think the dog's instinct can be triggered or controlled by what he sees or what he's been through?
You mean, well, that would be acquired behavior. That'd be.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but they don't want to pick the instinct at all.
No. That's where you don't teach them to sit. It's like my favorite story in the world is Tony McCallum had a seminar he's at, and the guy stood up and said, "Mr. McCallum, you got the dumbest dog on the planet. I got one of your dogs. It took me a year to teach him how to sit." And Tony said, "Well, mate, I'm so glad you got him to sit because I'm sure his legs was getting tired of standing." So that's an instinct. All we do is tell them when and where we want to do it, and if we've been proficient in our communication with the dog, they understand what these words mean because they don't speak English; they're speaking Dogish, and then they follow through and do it. Oh, my tech lady's giving us a.
It ain't gonna show.
Hmm?
It's not gonna show them, I don't know why.
We're trying to get up the biggest man stopper videos
Yep.
of all time.
So do we have anybody get our trivia question right yet?
Oh, no, we haven't. I need to go into that. Well, let's look into it. Let's do the trivia question. Is that what you're saying?
No, I want to see if they're still writing in or if anybody got. I'm just asking if anybody got it.
No one got it. They're all getting the idea,
Right.
but they hadn't got the facts.
Okay. So do we keep it going? Throw another little
We'll
piece
keep
of
going another week?
Little cheese in the pot.
Ooh, okay.
We can do that if you want. Or if you want to do another one, we can. But
Hmm.
since no one's got it yet, I don't want to give it away.
What can
This is one of the first ones that no one's gotten.
This is, and let me, because I've had some people, you can look in the comments, I've had people talk about, one I forget who it was, said, this isn't one I can grab a book and look up.
Mm-mm.
No, it's not. Some of these things that I've mentioned in trivia questions is information I've gotten from doctoral theses on biology, on carnivores, this sort of a thing, all right? So this is gonna be a toughie, but people are kinda on the right track, okay? So, shall we repeat the question?
Sure.
Okay, and we'll give everybody another week. let's see, we said you get a copy of the book, don't forget the book, if everyone's looking for something to read late at night, this ain't it. There's better things to read late at night, if you know what I mean.
That's right.
But if you really wanna help train your dog, this is the one you wanna get.
Yes, which one read?
Yeah, and have, yeah, so, we said what, a shirt and a book?
Yes.
Yeah, so we got a talk shit, get bit shirt and a book, which Scott thinks we ought to juice the pot a little. Got a cap.
How about a cap?
We don't have any, do we have any pro sport caps?
Can we get any pro sports caps coming?
No.
No.
Okay.
What do you got, champ?
Nothing.
Oh, I know what we can get.
All right.
You ever see my security system bikes bumper stickers?
Get that too.
We'll throw that in on top of it. Okay, so everybody knows what we got.
Don't forget, I'm gonna sign that book for y'all.
And yeah, Scott's gonna sign it, so you can read the writing.
I'm in there,
Yeah, he's in
in the
there.
credits. No,
Yeah.
no pictures. I'm in the credits, no, I'm just-
So, we'll repeat the question, and then we'll get a tech update, see what we're gonna be able to do or not do here tonight. So the question's real simple. We know that dogs, and when you're hearing this question, think closely about the words I'm using. Because remember, in scientific thesis, discovery, whatever you wanna call it, every word has a specific meaning. They're not vague, they couldn't mean several things.
Mhm.
They mean exactly one thing, all right? So when a dog gets ready to eat, if you tease him with a steak bone over his head, if you're Pavlov, you can get him to salivate. Okay? If a dog sees a grizzly bear coming into his cave and he wants to run this grizzly bear off because he's got nowhere to run, he can't choose flight, he drools. There's your first hint. So, salivation is a precursor to digestion. It's the first thing we do. Well, the first thing we do is, even before we chew, you get this, whether you're a dog, tiger, human, whatever. You put something in your mouth and your salivary glands start kicking in. If you threaten a dog who's determined to stand and fight, choosing fight over flight, he will drool. There's a difference even in the way salivation and drool looks. Drool is more like, you ever saw the old Dog Bordeaux and Turner and Hooch, where he slings slobber? Well, that's real slobber. But drool is more like an egg yolk thickness, okay? Salivation is not. It's thinner.
Foamy.
Yeah, and that's your next hint, all right? There's a definite purpose for why a dog's choosing to fight in a dangerous situation, drool instead of salivate. So start thinking on that. What do you think, Miss Carol Ann, our techie?
It's not working,
It's not working,
and I don't know why.
and she doesn't know why. So we've got the screen set up. You've seen us use that before, and well, I'm just gonna give you a very brief description. It's gonna be so brief that hopefully it makes you come back and put up with our technical failures again next week. We're about 90% there. We got microphones working, we got cameras working, we got hook up to YouTube working. This new contraption, I guess you folks who watched us before, we gotta flub something up several times before we get it right.
Trademark.
Trademark, yeah.
It's all working towards a common goal though. It's all gonna come together.
It's all how we
Which
do
is
it.
fine though,
Mhm.
so.
So, you got something?
No, go ahead. Let's follow this up.
So, if, and we will test and retest and retest and retest again, and this will be ready for you next week. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take dogs of extreme opposites, dogs that have at least 100 pounds difference in their weight and size. And we're gonna show you videos of these dogs trained, and we'll let you decide first which one is the best man stopper. That's the first thing you gotta decide on. The second thing we gotta decide on is, for your dog, which style of fighting do you think is best? Remember, when we started Canine Pro Sports, a lot of people in the beginning before it became a certification system for protection dogs, and it was just a competition. It was always referred to as the canine martial arts, because there are more successful ways for a dog to fight and less successful ways for a dog to fight. We're going to show you each extreme. Like I said, there's going to be at least 100 pounds difference between these two dogs that you're going to see. And for all you live bite people, I don't know how to really bite, you ain't got no equipment. You're going to see one with no equipment in next week's video.
Yeah, you sure will.
Yeah, you think I just thought about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's a something.
It's a cringer.
Cringer. That's a definite cringer. So
with that being said,
mhm.
this is partly to institute or certify that it's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting out of the base of this was all the prey drive that drives. And building on that with this is going to show that the behavior, which sometimes confused with prey drive, is not, because this is one extreme to the other. But the behavior was there, and it was trained a certain behavior,
Right.
even though the instincts are probably not the same.
Exactly. Exactly.
And there's two dogs.
They're not. They're almost voluntary.
Yep.
You know. So the best, if you go back to the best American dog trainer, it would have to be William Kohler. Now you got some great bird dog people. Don't get me wrong, they're great, but Kohler was an all-encompassing trainer. He did tracking, he did searching, he did obedience, he did, dogs for the movies. He
You know,
did police dogs.
his son won his first dog training competition, actually obedience training, his son, at 8 years old,
Oh, really?
with the Spence McKenzie dog,
Oh, Bull Terrier.
a bull terrier.
This is my Kohler biographer here, in case you hadn't guessed. Mr. Kohler had one thing in common with the early trainers of the SV that promoted the German Shepherd and got it to where it is today. The Germans were more scientific in their training. They used more biological, scientific notions to do the training. Mr. Kohler didn't use those scientific methods. Maybe he never thought about it. I'm sure back in the 40s and 50s when he was around that there wasn't a lot of scientific studies done about dogs back in those days. But what he had in common with the good German trainers was every word had a specific meaning. And he defined, if you read any of his books, he defined what that word meant in the way that he used it in the book. So it's not like today where one trainer can teach your dog toy drive and Sunday drive,
And go Monday to spoil drive or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Every drive, every word should have a distinct definition. And that's what we're going to try and clear up even more next week. So we'll go over real quick. Tonight you learn behaviors might be they're learned, acquired movements that are learned from association with something that's fun or dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
You learn that instincts are voluntary. Just because he's a sheepdog doesn't mean he's going to chase a sheep. And drives are involuntary. That means that if you want to train a French bulldog to be a good bite dog, if you implement the right drives, you can do that. If you want to train a King Charles Spaniel, I think that's the only one I haven't done.
And that's one of the dogs he said had a low prey drive, by the way.
Yeah, was it? They had them in there? Yeah, they should, yeah. So we're going to show you a little bit more about how to manipulate these drives to get exactly what you're looking for every time. And hopefully, well not hopefully, I promise you we will have your videos up next week. You will enjoy those. I have no doubt.
So, with that being said, y'all know a football bracket or a college, the
For betting?
Sweet 16,
Yeah.
the brackets coming in, right?
Mhm.
Take the brackets and turn one around and start from the winning. The winning is a drive. So you're going from winning and branching out like a tree. Maybe not as big, but because you got your prey drive, you got your instincts, you got your genetics, your behaviors, and that's all incorporated in what you need to be your dog. Like Butch said, tying certain things is a part of that bracket for certain things that your dog can do.
if you think you can't do all these things effectively, wait till next week and we'll show you the difference in these two dogs and the different ways they use their physical abilities and attributes to literally be able to stop any man you ever met, right?
Yes.
So,
And the drives, and then we get to the drives again, I was saying that.
right.
Because there are some differences,
Mm-hmm.
but the end result's the same, basically.
Yep.
So there's no defensive or prey drive, there's not one better than the other. It's purpose specific.
So that said, trivia question in a nutshell, tell me the difference between salivation and drooling and why drooling is done prior to a serious fight. With that, I guess we'll go back to investing in technical stuff.
Yes, sir. We sure will.